And welcome to Scott's Book Nook. No, it's not. It's Misfit Mashup, your monthly arts show that talks about arts in Allegheny County. I've always wanted to say Scott's Book Nook, though, and I'm so excited tonight because we have actual authors, people from my world, people who write things and tell delightful stories. We've got Miss Melanie, Jade Vogel, and Miss Carey, Kiser-Lancaster. I hope I got those names right. It's because I haven't practiced that part of it, but I'm so excited to have you. And of course, you're here telling us about your best-selling book, Elsewhereville. Is that correct?
It is. Yes, this is our book, Elsewhereville, and I think Carey on her swivel has a poster of it too. Um, Elsewhereville is just came out in March, and it won two uh, awards. It won one award in two categories. So, and it actually got up to number two in two categories on Amazon. So we have been thrilled with that. So.
And of course, joining us is also Mikayla Dodge, noted former singer and mother, of course, and has also been enjoying Melanie's work for quite some time. Mikayla.
Hi, I'm so excited to be on here tonight and to get to talk to Melanie and Carey. Of course, I have my little 3-year-old, and so we're always reading bedtime stories. I actually have one of Melanie's books, the One of a Kind Hot Air Balloon Adventure, and I keep that in my rotation with Aria. So I'm excited to learn more about what you both are up to right now. Yeah.
And
All
since no
right.
off as like a best-selling author, believe me, I know I've been trying for a long, long time now. But I write things that should never be told to children, things that are, horror stories and weird things. Anyway, but you've written this best-selling children's book. So let's start talking about Elsewhereville. What is Elsewhereville? The main plot.
It's actually over time. I've been working on this story for 14 years, and it is about a little girl that just does not fit in, and she just more than anything wants to fit in with the kids at school, and she's a little bit of a misfit. And she ends up in Elsewhereville. It's a portal fantasy. It's a chapter book for kids 7 to 12, and the protagonist of the story, Myrtle Hitchbacher, ends up in Elsewhereville, where the only thing the same about everybody is that they're all different, and they're very different.
Wow. Well, of course, we here on Misfit Mashup absolutely love stories about people that don't quite fit in, and you're also a local author and having success is one of the reasons we were so excited to have you here. Now, Carey, I want to take a second away from Melanie and bring in you for your role in the book. You're the illustrator, is that correct?
Yes, yep. And this was my first book that I illustrated, hopefully working on a few more. But it was really great to illustrate Elsewhereville because the story, resonates with a lot of us. And plus, the little girl is close to the age that my daughter is. So, and, my little girl kind of likes different, quirky kind of things. So it was really, I saw my little girl in Myrtle a whole lot. So that's kind of part of my inspiration for creating that main character was my daughter, Izzy.
Well, since it's your first effort at drawing stuff, we hope that you'll continue. Obviously, looking behind you, you've had some experience before, and I'm so happy that you've been able to marry the two of them up into this best-selling number two so far. Hopefully, we can get you to number three. Uh, This is not your Melanie.
I'm sorry, it cut out.
No worries. This is not your book, right?
Oh no, this is my first chapter book. But I have written or I've written six picture books, and published six picture books. And then I have another one on the way that's going to be coming out at the end of August, actually August 31st. And I have a picture of it. It's You Can't Ride a Cat. And it's a picture book too. But uh, I have seven altogether. I have all my books here. Of course, the one that Mikayla has for Aria, Rockstaria. And then all my other books are here too. So, and oops, some of them are upside down.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Take titles. You can hold them up one by one. Let's take a
Oh,
look.
okay. Okay, sure. Well, my first one came out in 2011. It's called Nerf Nerd, and it's a story about insignificant sock puppet. He's a gray mouse, and he thinks that he just has a terrible life. But he realizes after he goes on kind of the hero's journey for sock puppets that he actually has a really good life after all. So this was through Headline Kids. Uh, Publishing in 2011. And then my next book that came out. Do you want me to go through all my books?
If you feel like it, I mean,
Okay. My next book that came out was called Lost in La La Land, and it's through Uncle Dave's publishing out of Pittsburgh. And it's about two sailors who set sail and they end up in La La Land. And it's a lot like Elsewhereville. It's kind of a crazy place where the two sailors end up with the bread people and chocolate animals. And well, I don't want to give the entire story away, but they decide that maybe it's okay to just stay in La La Land.
and LA, so that's even better. Go ahead. So you got, oh, wait,
Oh, I'm sorry, you cut out again.
I'm so sorry. Let's see if
It's
that's on my end. Keep going. You're doing so wonderfully.
okay. Well, then this has up till now this has been my bestseller, even just a little bit above my previous book before. Well, and actually one of my favorite books, Too Many Poodles. But this is Billy Beacorn and the Booger Man, and Billy Beacorn has been like my bestseller up until now, up until Elsewhereville. And it is about a boy that wipes his nose on his sleeve, and nothing good can come of that. And so the booger man comes to life, and he is not very friendly and scares everybody in town. And so Billy has to stand up to the booger man. And this was written in 2016, pre-COVID, but we predicted, no, we didn't, but we kind of say, well, when we were writing this book, it's kind of interesting because I'll show you something out of it. We wrote all the schools closed and all the stores too. All of the children kept sneezing, achoo. And we actually, when we wrote that, we thought, oh, that's ridiculous. None of the stores or the schools would close, and but that did happen. And then the next book I have that Mikayla has is a one of a kind hot air balloon adventure. And I wrote this, and it was published in 2017 through Uncle Dave's Books. I have several through Uncle Dave's Books. Um, and this is a story about a boy and a girl that accidentally set sail, and they everybody wants to help, and it's just a story about helping. And sometimes when you help, you get carried away, and that's what happens with some of the people, and it just keeps going on, and it gets more and more ridiculous. And I'll read my favorite line from it if I can find it. Let me see. Okay, so in this picture, I don't know if you can see it real well or not, but we've got a little boy and girl. We've got a farmer, a little girl with her puppy, a roly poly lady, a van full of tourists, 27 monkeys, and a tugboat all trying to help. And we moved over the harbor and out to sea, all of us screaming and squealing and barking and honking and screeching. Then a tugboat captain blasted over her megaphone, "We'll save you." And so, does she? Well, you find out.
Oh my gosh, well, you're so inventive.
Thanks. And then my next book is one of my favorite right after Elsewhereville. It's Too Many Poodles. This was my first book that I self-published, and I think that it has been my second favorite besides Elsewhereville. And it's about a little girl who's just trying to get a good night's sleep, but the poodles keep coming. And this is actually a story based on my real life. Like on my back cover, you can see three of my poodles, which is all that I had at the time. But then apparently, after I wrote this book, Too Many Poodles, which has 18 poodles, apparently I thought I needed at least one more poodle. So I have four poodles now. So it's, but this one is my first, and I'm really proud of it. It's self-published. Too Many Poodles, and then I'm almost done. I feel like I'm really taking
You're,
over the.
we got nothing else to do.
Okay. Then my next book, we wrote this book, Green Pickle Juice, and the reason that we wrote it was my publisher, Dave Howard from Uncle Dave's Books. He was looking for a book for Picklesburg. If you've ever heard of Picklesburg Festival, it's the Pittsburgh Festival, and they basically shut down the Yellow Bridge, and it's completely pickle related merchandise. And so this was our book for, yeah, this
That's
was
so
our,
cool.
yeah, our 2020 Picklesburg book. But of course, we all know what happened in 2020. And so Picklesburg 2020 didn't come to fruition, but we still have this funny book. It's green pickle juice, and it's all the uses for green pickle juices. And so it's informative and yet silly. So,
Got to stop
and
right
then,
there. Got to stop right there and say, wait a minute.
okay.
We all need to answer. I myself drink pickle juice right from the jar. Anybody else?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Picklesburg
Occasionally.
has a drinking contest. I was in Picklesburg one year, and I feel like I could win that contest.
Oh my gosh. It's on my bucket list. I've heard of it. But I'm also one of those people who's in a relationship where one person loves pickles and the other person is ready to just pass their pickle over because they don't want to eat it.
I
And
think I think
but
that's how it goes. I think that's how people meet because my husband always gives me his pickle. So I think that's like, and also like he does when I drink it from the jar, he's appalled by that. So I think that's usually how that goes. One person drinking the pickle juice and the other person's not impressed by it.
exactly.
I mean, it's not a physical challenge. It's not like it's part of the Olympics. So, anyway, I hate to interrupt. You had one more book. Am I correct?
Oh, the only other book that I have up until, of course, is Elsewhereville, our chapter book. This was my first chapter book, self-published. Carey, of course, is my illustrator. Did a fabulous job on it. Like that, I will have to show you our both of our favorite illustration from the book. It's where Myrtle gets caught up in a Christmas tree, and she it has a little bit. She's worse for the wear for that.
Oh
Oh,
my gosh.
that's so wonderful. Okay, business question. Moving from published by to self-publishing, publishing direct through Amazon on demand.
Yes, these two books, yes.
Okay,
They're
and how's your experience?
it has gone over really well. I mean, like I said, Elsewhereville got up to on a recent promotion, not just from day to day, but on Amazon, you'll move up and down the charts, up and down, up and down. And on a recent promotion of our book, it got up to number 2 bestseller in 2 categories in children's chapter books, and then it also got number 2. It hit number 2 for like maybe 2 minutes in coming of age.
We were
Oh,
watching.
That's
We
awesome though.
watching. I was up all night
great.
waiting to hit number 1, and it never happened.
It's one of the things that any writer will tell you. Okay, and the reason I had you answer those questions is in our audience may be because I know a number of folks who would really love to write children's books, but they think, oh my gosh, I'm just a housewife here in West Virginia, or oh, I'm just some idiot guy in Western Maryland who's got anything to listen to me. And that's why I was so excited to have you on. You guys are normal people. For example, you're both from Southwest West PA, right?
Yes.
And
I'm
then
from Somerset, and Carrie's one over in Bedford.
Yeah.
and you're normal people with normal jobs and normal lives, and here you've done this wonderful thing and created this marvelous piece of entertainment for kids. So we're certainly so happy to have it. Now, Carey, let me take a second and come over to you, because we've been talking so much about the writing and the books and all of that. Tell us about the illustrations. How did you feel about illustrating one character through an entire story versus, say, doing individual art pieces, which is, I know, what you're known for?
So it was kind of a different experience for me because yeah, and typically what I do, I paint and I draw and do art that way. So it's kind of one thing will pop in my mind and I will try to make that one thing happen. And it's usually, what comes from in my mind. But illustrating, I was kind of nervous at first because I thought it might be difficult to illustrate a whole book and like come up with these characters and stay consistent with it because drawing the same character with different expressions and different scenes isn't something I've done a lot of because typically I'm painting one painting and I'm done with it.
Mhm.
But so when I read Elsewhereville, when Melanie sent it to me, even though illustrating a whole book was a little bit kind of intimidating to go like out of my wheelhouse, like I said, it was a story that I resonate with, and the characters were great and so much fun, and it was just really imaginative and creative, and so it was easier than I thought it would be. Plus, like I said, I have a daughter that's in the age group of the readers, so I had the perfect target audience to bounce things off of, where I have to credit my 11-year-old for helping me out with that because I'd draw a picture and I'd say, "What do you think of this character?" and kind of get some actual like child reader feedback. So that was that was good.
Well, actually, I was going to say, I'm sure you wanted to mention your daughter because I'm sure she had to have helped you doing that. One of the things that, from a business again perspective, doing children's work, it requires children. One of the reasons that Walt Disney fell apart when Disney died was that they could never make movies the way Walt did. Walt didn't have a script. He would just tell the story to kids. And the parts that they yawned at, he cut. And the parts that they got excited about, he drew more of. And that was how he made movies. So it's very much that kind of thing, I would imagine, as an illustrator. I'm sure you've experienced that.
Yes.
Did you have a favorite illustration besides the one that she had? One that you touched you maybe more because it was longer to do or harder?
Um, so that was definitely my favorite because it's kind of sort of a silly reason, but the one with Myrtle with the Christmas tree, the ornaments, and the stick stuck in her hair. Again, it kind of brought me back to my daughter. Isabella has wild hair sometimes. So drawing that just really drawing this little freckle faced little girl with her tangled up hair, it felt like I was drawing a cartoon of my daughter. So
Well,
it was fun.
you certainly captured the comedy of the moment in that one frame, and that's really your challenge as opposed to Melanie's challenge. Melanie's challenge is to bring the entire story, all of the emotions of the reader and the characters together, and your challenge is to inculcate that all in one frame. So, I mean, I got to admit, bravo, ladies, bravo, well done. You know, and I'm hogging the conversation. So, Mikayla, I'm going to shut up for a second and give you the floor to ask anything you'd like.
Oh my gosh, well, I have a question for both of you. Because of course, getting to hear all of the stories and all of Melanie's, like the Booger Man and all these incredible, just creative things, and of course, seeing your beautiful artwork behind you, Carrie. Like, just getting, I'm like looking at all the different pictures. So, a general question, I guess, for both of you is, where do you find your creativity? Like, just, I mean, do these things just kind of pop into your mind and you just roll with it, or like are
I I think like for me, should I go first?
Yeah, go
Or
ahead.
okay. give you some time to think, I guess, Carey. Um, for me, what what usually happens, I do a lot of my writing in the winter time, um, because in the summer it's so busy and I love to garden, that I don't do much writing in the summer. But in the winter time, I will work on one project simultaneously with another, and they just feed off of each other. And it's not that they're the same type of books. All my books are different. I'm not a big fan of sequels, um, and so it's not like I've got seven of Billy B. Corn and the Booger Man, then Billy B. Corn and the someone else, um, um, but they just bounce one book off of the other. And sometimes some of my writing cues, what I'll do is I'll try to think of two or three different things that just don't belong together, like mismatches. And then
Yeah.
when you start thinking about mismatches, then your creative juices start coming together. So that's how I how I do it.
And Carey?
For me, I mean, I have been basically probably painting, drawing, doing that stuff as long as I could hold a pencil or a paintbrush in my hand. I kind of credit that to my family. My grandfather's pretty crafty. My mom's pretty crafty. My dad's pretty crafty. It just kind of is something I grew up with. Like we're always making something or doing something. Um, so that's always kind of been my thing. And I of course like do it to relieve stress. If I just want to wind down, I'll paint, I'll draw. I recently, within the past year or so, started like sculpting. So I vend like local events and make like crafts and sell prints and art, and I make the tumblers, but what I do is like sculpt on them. And I don't have one with me to show, but I call them monster mugs, and I'll sculpt like weird little faces on them.
Oh
Um,
my gosh,
And
how
they're
fun.
yeah,
super cool. And she also makes great tables. Check her out on Facebook. Buy the tables. Those tables are amazing.
yes, I I need those out of my shed so I can make more big things because I lack a lot of space. But yeah, I don't know. I like to mess with a whole lot of different like mediums. I like to draw. I like to paint. Painting's probably my favorite. I like to sculpt. I like to craft and make repurpose furniture, make whatever, all kinds of stuff. So I don't know. It just comes to me, I guess. I don't know what I would do with myself if I wasn't making stuff.
I guess we should probably then talk about some of the chin scratching stuff about children's literature. Most people don't take the time to appreciate the really deep thought that goes into it, Melanie. And I wanted to, as an author myself, explore some of this with you. For example, a lot of your work, some of the themes seems to be basically an individual who isn't quite, fitting into the way society sees them. And your characters, through their own bravery in confronting their individuality, find a way that wasn't obvious. Personally, myself, it resonates very deeply with me because I've lived that story a million times. Have you? And do you
Have
try and,
I?
yeah,
Oh, definitely. I mean, the reason that it took me so long to write Elsewhereville is that Myrtle Hitchbacher is basically me. Um, and as a child, I was bullied some, and it really hurts. And I just remember thinking, boy, I just wish that I could fit in with everybody and that I wasn't different and I wasn't weird and I just would like to be like so and so. And I just kept thinking, I wish I fit in, I wish I fit in. But unfortunately, uh, I never went through any type of portal into a different world. So I just had to learn to deal with it. So,
but it's hard not to bring those themes of our, because I myself had a difficult childhood. I lived overseas. We had some experiences doing that with it, yeah, who left some marks on me. But at the same time, I use my characters as a way to express the hope that I find in humanity as well. So even though you're only writing children's literature, don't you think that here in 2022, and especially with what we've all experienced since 2020, fitting in and being able to speak to your own bravery about being an individual is one of the most important things we could talk about? At least I think so.
Definitely, for sure. Um, I I think you've said it all right there.
I don't mean to take the out of the topic, but again, this is something that it seems like for about 6 or 7 years as an author, you've been developing and really fitting into so many pieces of your work. I mean, the kid who rubs boogers on his sleeve is obviously a target by everybody out there. I mean, Johnny Greensleeves, if you will. So, um, and the thing I find that resonates is, forgive me, you're a lovely young woman, and it's hard for me to imagine you being bullied growing up, but I can easily see it. As we grow up and become adults, we understand that the world that we were taught as children, like Mikayla, for example, you grew up as a child star, basically. You were encouraged to do this all from the beginning, right? But it's been difficult for you also as well. You've been on The Voice a couple of times, and the difficulty of going through trying to become yourself is hard enough. So maybe
Oh,
you got.
absolutely. I tell my students this all the time because I teach voice lessons, but the pile of no's compared to yeses that I've received, like the no's are to the ceiling, while the yeses, I'm lucky if they even come off the ground. Like, but those few opportunities where you get that yes, it is all so worth it. And that's why we keep going and we keep pushing forward. So, yeah. Now, I have a question actually. So, since this is a children's book, this question for each of you again, and I guess Carey, you can go first this time. But what is something that you do that brings out the kid in you? Like, since it's a children's book, what is something that you still do that brings out the kid in you?
So for me, a lot actually. So for the past about year and a half, other than doing my art and stuff, I've really just kind of been a stay-at-home mom with an 11-year-old. So we kind of like kids a lot. My daughter is big into theater. She likes to sing. She likes to act, and she'll say that she's very dramatic. So she her and I will sing a lot. We'll turn on our Disney music and sing and dance around the house and be silly and just all kinds of crazy stuff like that. And then of course the arts and crafts, and I do stuff like that with her, and but probably just being goofy and dancing and singing around the house a lot.
That sounds just like my house.
Yeah.
I love
If
it.
if it's any consolation to you, Carrie, I'm 58 years old. I have no children living with me, and whenever I think to sing from the Jungle Book, now I'm the king of the swingers. Yeah, I dance, sing. I'm Melanie. What makes you act like a kid?
Oh my goodness. Well, I have four poodles, so as you can imagine, like I'm just carrying around them, babying them, and singing and dance. Of course, if I start to dance too much, they start to dance too and carry on, and then it's just like a barking frenzy, and everybody's barking and acting crazy. And another thing that I do is I have like, and I don't know why I have these things, but I have props like and I, I put on occasionally, like clown noses or something strange, like, and just walk around the house with that on. So,
I love it.
just
Me and I
silliness.
Mel and I have talked about that before, and I forgot to mention with I do the same thing. I guess like as an adult, I still like to play dress up. Not really props, but I'll do crazy like makeup all the time, or like Halloween makeup or silly face paint, just to be like wearing it around the house or whatever. One time I forgot that I had it on, and I took my dog outside, at like 6 o'clock in the morning. So if you've ever drove by my house in Frostburg and you see some weird lady outside with her face painted up in like Halloween makeup, like in the middle of August, I do that sometimes, but I completely forgot I had it on. Took my dog outside at like 6:30 in the morning. Cars were driving by and I'm standing there waving at my neighbors with like Beetlejuice makeup on my face.
Yes.
Now, wait, okay, we got to do some business here because I remember reading in your Facebook post, I think you mentioned it to me, Carey, that you guys have taken to doing some face painting at your signing, right? So let's do some business. Where's your next signing and when? When can we go get a copy of Elsewhereville and get you to sign it?
Oh, for my signing or for Carey?
Oh, wow. Let's go with you. You're the author.
With me? Okay. Well, I actually have everything written down here. So, let's see where I'll be. My next, and Carrie's going to be there with me too. So we can both sign a copy for both of you, or anybody. Saturday, August 27th from 12 to 6. We're both doing a back to school show at Mom's One Stop Restaurant. It's Bedford Valley Road, Bedford, PA. And then the next signing that I'll be doing with my, remember I said I have a new book coming out. Oh, now I can't find it. You Can't Ride a Cat. And also, oh, here it is. It's because it's over here. Janine Payne, Too Many Poodles illustrator, and also You Can't Ride a Cat illustrator. She is going to be with me signing our new book, You Can't Ride a Cat, or Too Many Poodles. And we are going to be Tuesday, September 13th from 5:30 to 7. We'll be in Romney, West Virginia at the Romney Public Library, and we'll be signing, and I'll be reading my book, You Can't Ride a Cat. It's basically the unreliable narrator for children. You have to wonder what's going on with this kid. Is he really telling the truth?
Yeah, I'd like to challenge this premise. You can ride a cat. You just have to get a big enough cat.
Yeah, pretty big cat.
And they don't generally like to be ridden. So,
And then one more in September, there's just one more that I'm going to be September 17th. It's a Saturday from 9 to 4. I'll be at the Toys for Happiness event in Mexico Farms. It's at the District 16 Fire Hall, and I'll be signing there that day too.
awesome. And Miss Carey, here, tell me where can the folks find you?
So this coming weekend, I will be at Pig Out in the Park in Frostburg at Hoffman Hollow Field. So I will be there with my art and some of that. And I will probably have some copies of Elsewhereville with me. I think, Melanie, I might have to grab some from you because I think I sold all that I had on hand when I was at my events. But I'll be there this Saturday. And I will be, like Melanie said, in Centerville at Mom's One Stop on the 27th. And I don't remember. I have things booked up almost every weekend through October right now.
And
But
you
if
have
you follow my page on Facebook, just look me up. My page is Artwork by Carey, Artwork by Carey, Carey. And I post where I'm going to be on
yeah,
my page.
and
Yeah.
not artwork Carey, Karey. That little person just no.
Yeah. Yeah. Carey. I could never find a name on a license plate as a child. Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Yep, yep.
Feel that.
I would imagine, yes, Mikayla.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we go into our usual topic tonight, one last question. It's one that I always love to ask. One of my favorite children authors, and I know it's weird because he's not really a children's author, was Rudyard Kipling. Okay. Uh, the Just So stories, the Jungle Books, and all of that were an inspiration for me when I was a kid. How about you? Which one were your favorites?
My favorite, C.S. Lewis by far. Of course, the Narnia Chronicles. Love those. And loved A Wrinkle in Time. Uh, I always have a hard time pronouncing her name, Madeline L. I can't even remember her last name. Maybe my husband could help me out.
I've got
Lingo.
I don't even remember.
But,
So you're still one better than me. How about
and
Oh, um, oh gosh, I'm trying to think right now. I want to say, honestly, probably like growing up my childhood and reading with my younger brother, my little brother, reading to him, we would just always read Dr. Seuss. We liked the rhyming, we liked the silliness. I always loved the art in those books, like the kind of sketchy, goofy, just out there stuff. And then reading with my daughter, we really like Dr. Seuss. Like our favorite stories are the Sneetches and the Butter Battle Book. Um, we love those stories. So probably those. They're just fun to read.
I
now?
also oh I'm
No,
sorry. I was gonna say when I was a child, my mom would read us a chapter a night. Um, and it seemed like it took a long time to get through, and you couldn't wait till the end to find out what happened. But we read Stuart Little, and we also read, of course. Oh no, now I've forgotten and it's. I feel terrible because it's Charlotte's Web.
Oh,
And they're both by E.B. White. But
you
Stuart Little to me was like just made me constantly think about this little mouse, and he was a mouse, but yet like a family adopted him, and and that just got the imagination juices flowing because it was like, okay, so this mouse is part of the family, and he's not just like a pet part of the family. He's a child part of the family, but he's also a small mouse. But he's not just a mouse, he can do things like a kid. And you can see where that went. It brought out the imagination. So I really loved that book. And I love the time that I spent with my mom reading that book, and that was just a really fun childhood memory. And then the Narnia Chronicles I read by myself, enjoyed that, and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory,
yeah,
Roald
thank you.
Dahl.
Thank
That
you.
was like
I'll tell you,
my
it's
one of my favorite. I think I read that like 5 or 6 times in a row.
especially okay, that was what I was about to say as we're getting to this topic of children's authors that rolled down and not into the conversation because your work thematically is so similar. It's all about in children's empowerment and finding their own specialness inside themselves. It was one of the things I was about to say that I love about what you bring to the table as an author. So because that's the most important message that you could give to a person, child or adult. It really doesn't matter. I mean, the universe, sure, it crushes everything. Okay, it doesn't matter how you. Yes, it will eventually. Okay, but it keeps making uniqueness. There's no two stars the same, no two snowflakes the same, no two daisies the same. So if it's not important to be unique, why does the universe keep doing it? Right? So that's what I love about the whole concept of your work, Miss Melanie. That's awesome.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay. Now, that's all the book talk, all right, and all the business, right? We don't have anything else that we need to pimp.
Nope. Just join me on my Facebook page. I'm having a giveaway for the You Can't Ride a Cat. It is going to go off on August 31st. 3 people are going to win a copy, signed copy of You Can't Ride a Cat. So check out my Facebook page. I think it is, let's see, it's facebook.com slash Melanie J. Vogel author.
Now,
And
Twitch, and I'm guessing you ladies aren't. You're not have privileged the opportunity to see the chat that's going along. One of our regular viewers, Marianne, who's just back from France, it was a lovely opportunity. She loves the program, and she says that she loves someone who was bullied as a child that now writes books to empower children. And she's been just sitting here giving you love all the way along. So I just want to know
oh,
you're really popular on. you're reaching out to an audience that absolutely loves what it is that you have to say. So now let's talk about the important issue, comfort food. All right. I'm the moderator. I don't really have an opinion. I'm just here to help shape the conversation. So, Melanie, you being the premier authoress, you get to start our conversation off with what do you believe is the best comfort food?
Well, I believe that out of all the comfort food in the world, and the one that would appeal to most people, and especially appeals to me for comfort, is homemade. It has to be homemade macaroni and cheese.
So,
Because, but not Kraft macaroni and cheese. Homemade macaroni and cheese. Good homemade macaroni and cheese. It can't be it can't be, nah, you gotta have real cheese.
you can't slap the packet to wake up the cheese powder flavor.
No, no. Real
Hey,
butter, real cheese, little bit of breadcrumbs in there, sprinkled on top, crispy, but yet like it goes down real smooth because the noodles are cooked real well. Goes down real smooth, like especially if you've been crying or something. So I
you
have to say macaroni and cheese homemade.
Mm.
right away, the first thing they say is top contender, macaroni and cheese. I got to say, it's really strong. So, who wants to challenge the top dog in mac and cheese? Ladies.
Well, I let me see. Cheese is something hard to beat. Anything cheese is good. That's hard to beat. But I don't know. I would have to say like maybe it kind of depends comfort wise. Like if it's not feeling well, soup, any kind of soup is a comfort food. A nice warm bowl of soup. Like today, um, for dinner, I made chili, like a big pot of chili. Only bean, I'm vegetarian, so but it's really good. But on a cold, but like on a rainy, chilly day, like it kind of was today, a good bowl of something warm like soup
Yep.
is a good comfort food, and those cornbread muffins that we had with it.
Got to
Oh.
admit, point there. Strong contender. The other night when it was a little bit chillier, we made a Hungarian mushroom soup. That
Mm.
was delicious, very comforting. It could have just as easily. So I got to say, I'm right there with you. Mikayla.
So on the same level as cheese, but a little different, I would have to go with cheesecake because I'm going the sweets route, and just a good slice of rich cheesecake. And I think about the Golden Girls, how anytime they had their little moments, they needed to sit and just talk and get their feelings out and eat their feelings, they would break out a whole cheesecake. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds really good. Yeah.
I'm amazed we keep hitting around cheese, but we seem to be missing the number one food in America, which is pizza. Pizza is the most frequently ordered food on the planet, believe it or not, and it's a comfort food in so many ways. So I've got to ask, what's your opinion on pizza? For
I
example,
like pizza.
I mean, if you had a choice between soup and pizza, would you, Carey?
I still go soup. I like pizza, of course. Everybody likes pizza, but like I wouldn't call pizza a comfort food for me. I'd call pizza a fun food
Mhm.
and a convenience food, but not a comfort food. I think when I think comfort, I think home cooked something, you
That
know?
that's where I'm going to have to go back to chat then, because I was so happy you brought that up. I agree. It's a fun food if somebody brings it to you. Okay, you don't
Mhm.
sit around. You're not tossing the dough yourself and all of that, which would be the more fun. Anyway, so like Christy in chat brings up, okay, like mashed potatoes. Okay, maybe an open-faced roast beef sandwich, for example. That also has appeal to me as a comfort food.
I
I
agree
had
with that.
mashed potatoes on my list for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's no cheese.
Any holiday food. Mashed
Well,
potatoes, stuffing, anything
holiday.
that's a holiday
Yeah. Stuffing. I like stuffing.
food.
anything that's easy to eat that you can, I mean, not that pizza's not easy to eat, but like anything that you can keep stuffing your face with. And pizza sometimes kind of fills you up, and it is more of a party food. Like nobody sits, well, maybe somebody does, but many people probably don't sit there like just like, man, I kind of want something. I'm just gonna keep eating this pizza. Like I don't. They're like when they're eating pizza, they're like, I'm eating
Yep, 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 yep. Okay,
pizza.
if you're talking, go ahead, Mikayla.
I'm so glad you brought that up because the other food that I had on my list was chips and salsa or chips and dip because like that you could just sit there and over even if there's not dip,
Yeah,
if it's like a good chip like Pringles or Doritos, I just over and over you could just yeah.
Yeah, that's
that's
true.
something I thought chips and hummus. I like chips and hummus a lot, like tortilla chips or pita chips and hummus. That's a snack that I go to. And also like any like snack food, I sometimes like to snack more than I like to eat meals. And that's like my chill thing. So yeah, snacks are good.
Now, of course, for those of you out in the audience who don't, you may recognize, or you may not know. Of course, we've got Trey, our wonderful man in the booth, who also likes to throw a curveball our way in these conversations, and he offers mac and cheese pizza. I think that's an abomination unto God, Trey, and it needs to be off the face of the planet, you know. But thanks for suggesting.
It's too much.
I've had mac and cheese pizza because they had mac and cheese pizza at Cece's and it was awful. I was
Yeah.
really excited. I was like, two of my favorite foods combined. This is going to be amazing. And then it was like cardboard on top of cardboard. Yeah.
Okay, so if it wasn't done by Cece's, maybe if it was actually good pizza crust with good mac and cheese on it, I still think why would you mix the two? You
Could
know?
be.
Uh, okay, so in the final, it looks like our final showdown in this is going to come down to mac and cheese, which is the top contender. It's just really hard to beat, versus mashed potatoes, which seems to be the only other thing viscerally breaking through. So we'll do this by a simple division of the house. Show of hands. Who's for mac and cheese? Well, okay, that takes care of that. So, so screw you, mashed potatoes. Yeah, you're right. And only fresh is another comment thrown in from chat. Thank you, chat. We appreciate you chiming in on this. This is an opportunity before we lose the ladies this evening for you in the audience to go ahead and ask a question or two. I'll keep an eye on the chat here, and we'll throw that to them as well. Um, okay, future plans. Are you two were planning on working together? Are you conspiring on a new work, or not yet ready to reveal that?
I'm gonna go ahead and reveal some of uh, some of my future plans, and they do include Carey. I've got a few other things going on too. I've got a couple up my sleeve. Alligator's baby teeth coming up next year sometime. Lula the leprechaun coming out with Sheila May as my illustrator. And I've also got a few up my sleeve with Carey, which include an Elsewhereville journal and coloring book. And we're going to try to get that out before Christmas. And then we're also working on in the next year or two a Christmas book that I wrote with a friend based on Luke 2, the Christmas story, but set along the "Twas the Night Before Christmas." And Carey's working on that. And then Carey and I also have a story about some pirates, and not about really about what pirates do out at sea, but what they do when they come home at night.
Cooking and elevating, playing music with elves. Carrie, how about you?
So really, working on those plans with Melanie. I haven't really branched out into any other books right now. Um, I did have some authors kind of reach out to me and take my card that I might be working on some other illustrations. So into that, really just working on my art, my paintings, getting things out there more. I did team up with one of my friends that does t-shirts. She has a website. It's staysassydesigns.com, and she is printing some of my paintings for me on t-shirts and things like that, like what I have on, if you can see my little stained glass skeleton. This was one of my paintings that she did on a t-shirt for me. So if you go on my Facebook page, Artwork by Carey, pinned at the top, there's a post with the link where you can find my t-shirt designs. And I have a couple on there. The stained glass skeleton. I got my little mush monsters I made a t-shirt of because people were a fan of goofy little sculptures that I did. So I started sculpting mushrooms with eyeballs in them, and people liked them. So I call them mush monsters and put them on shirts. I also have some octopus designs and a little spooky Halloween girl. So kind of t-shirt design, paintings, all kinds of stuff going on. Just doing art, enjoying life.
As we begin to, let me just say, one of the things I really loved about this interview tonight is that I can see the future for both of you. And as an artist myself, I relish this kind of a future. Melanie said it best. You don't like cereals, okay? And that's not nothing wrong with them. But I, as an artist, have a real problem with recreating. You know, I've written some classic characters in my time, and I'm happy to tell their story once, but I don't really want to get stuck telling that one story over and over and over again because it just gets so dull. And then you don't have the opportunity to expand into other worlds and get mush monsters or crazy skeleton people made of glass thrown in there. That could be the next great thing. So, as you go about that, what would you suggest as an inspiration for people, or how do they get started in doing this for you? How did you do it? Did you just decide?
When, how did I
Yeah,
start it?
yeah.
Well, it all started with some some paper, and then I took a pen
Know what I mean?
and I started to write. And so many people, that's the big thing. Like they're like, "Oh, I've always wanted to write a children's book." Start writing.
How old
Start
were you when
writing,
you
start
started?
research. Um, oh well, I've always written since I was a kid. I've always enjoyed like the flow of words and the way that the words sound, and I've always enjoyed rhyming and rhythm. And I've written since a kid, but I really didn't start until serious writing until about 2006. And then I just researched everything I could. I got as much information as I could. I wrote and wrote and wrote. And then, of course, you edit, edit, edit,
And rewrite,
keep
rewrite.
going, revise, revise, revise. It's what my husband always says. He always says to me whenever I work or write something and I think I'm totally done, he says, revise, revise, revise.
That's the thing. Okay, this is one of those little inside baseball things for you guys in the audience that Carey, maybe you don't get, okay, because you're a visual artist, okay. Although I'm seeing multiple copies of things, so maybe you do. As you're doing it, you write it, and you're like, oh, I've invented this beautiful world, and then you realize good writing only comes from rewriting. So you go back and you edit it, and you're like, oh, that makes it better, and then you remember, oh crap, I got to fix this too. By the end, you've rewritten the thing so many times, you're sick of it. You want to move on to something else so badly. And I think that's where being a children's author gives you a slight leg up. You can be wacky. If you're Game of Thrones, you just got to more people.
It's kind of funny you say that and like say that with visual art too, because I do the same thing in a different aspect. And this is one of the things. So when I did face painting in an event a couple weekends ago, kids will come up and they'll ask me questions about like, how do you do art and why do you do it and what do or they'll be interested in doing it and they'll be like, well, what do you do if you make a mistake? Um, so the same thing with visual art. You still revise. Like I take a step back and look at something from all different angles. I walk away from it, look at it again, come back and say, no, that doesn't look right. 10 minutes ago, it looked right when I was sitting this close to it. But now that I'm, 10 feet away, 10 minutes later, it doesn't look right anymore. So I come back and change it. And then also, funny enough, with the sculpting and stuff that I just recently within the past year or so got into doing, that was because I was painting and I could not get the painting the way I had it in my head. It was not working. So I was like, you know what? I'm done painting. Let's go try sculpting. Let's go do something else. So that's why I do so many different mediums. When one thing doesn't go right, I will leave it alone and do something else. Because just like you said with writing, sometimes you get so sick of it because you've been on it for so long that you just want to do something else. So when that happens to me, I do something else and
Yep,
come back.
me too.
Yeah.
I
Me too.
Yeah.
very many successful writers that don't have at least three projects going all at the same time, just because
Right.
you're just so frustrating sometimes. And that's the message that I guess most folks, when they say, I want to be an artist, they see the glory of it, the talk shows like this, the opportunity to be published, and you hold up the finished product, and they don't see the sweat and the horror and all the cussing that went into it underneath it. So thank you, ladies, for sharing some of that little glimpse inside your world tonight as we wrap up. I'm going to go ahead and ask if there's anything you want specifically to say. Chat apparently didn't have much in terms of questions for you, but that's okay. We love them anyway. Carey, take a second, take a few seconds, wrap it up. Anything you want first, and we'll go to Melanie.
Um, a whole lot. I appreciate you guys having us on. It was a lot of fun chatting tonight. So thank you for letting us be part of this. Just kind of a message to anybody that, like, just like Melanie said, like anybody that wants to write, anybody that wants to paint, anybody that wants to draw or try a you know, new hobby, get into art in any way, any type of art. Do it. Just go for it. And
This always makes me my favorite, okay, because women especially have a difficulty sometimes getting into the arts and getting going because they lack confidence. Who wrote the best-selling novel of all time? Mary Shelley. She
ooh.
was 19 years old, pregnant, and wrote it on a bet out of boredom. So don't tell me you can't write. Absolutely not. Miss Melanie, you're 60 seconds.
Well, I just thank you for having me on here. I really appreciate it. And it's been great. And I just, Carrie and I have just really enjoyed working together and bringing this book to life. And really just have had a great time with all of my illustrators, just bringing books to life. And I really appreciate them. And I appreciate everybody in the tri-state. You know, just thank you so much for having me here and having this local program. This is really great. I love this. Uh, I love that you have a local program, and it's really great. And I didn't even know about it, and I'm so glad that I know about it now. So thank you.
We promise you back. We'd love to have you back on your, little while when fortunes come around. Mikayla, I'd let you be silent. I'm sorry. Did you have anything you wanted to add before we close out?
That's okay. You both have been so wonderful, and like I said, having a little one, it's fun to get to like get some insight from the mind of children's authors and illustrators. This has been really fun. Just one more time, if each of you could tell us where online we can find you, because I definitely want to look into both of you more, and I'm sure the audience would as well.
Okay. Well, you can find, I have a website, melaniejvogel.com, MELANIEJVOGEL. And then, of course, I have a Facebook page, Melanie J. Vogel, children's book author. And I'm also on Instagram, just Melanie J. Vogel, all one word.
Carey?
Yep. And right now I am basically just on Facebook. I'm working on eventually trying to get a website up and something like that, or possibly start listing on Etsy or something along those lines. But right now, just on Facebook, it's artwork by Carey. So artwork by Carey. I'm going to hold my card up if you can see. there.
We
And
got
then, ta-da! There. So there's my information. Artist, illustrator, crafter, and maker is what I call myself. Just make stuff. But yeah, artwork by Carey on Facebook.
problem. Well, thank you,
Awesome.
ladies. You've really been part of the
you.
stars that make Western Maryland beautiful and wonderful. Appreciate you being on the show. And we'd like to thank each and every one of you in the audience tonight for joining us for Misfit Mashup. On behalf of Mikayla Dodge and myself, Scott Ford, we'd just like to say thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again on the 18th of August when we bring more local flavor, local art, and local fun. One more time, let's give a big hand to Carey Kiser-Lancaster and Melanie Jade Vogel for being on the show tonight.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody that was watching.
Thanks, folks.
Thank
We'll see
you.
you next time.
Whoa, dance and glow. The good days never seem to last. They're gone before you know. Ooh, feel that glow and savor the taste of